So this month we're going to reminisce about a great trip that we took to Ireland last month. And joining me on the call are our two guests on the trip. And first of all, we're going to interview Natasha Stanishevsky. Natasha, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we're doing this. I realized that you messaged me about it a few weeks ago and I forgot and didn't respond. So I'm glad you circled back because I'm excited to talk
Well,
about this trip.
yeah, I was away as well, so it's just kind of catching up on things. And it has been
Mhm.
a few weeks now, but the memories are still fresh. So I know it was your first time going over to Ireland, which was exciting and exciting for me as well to show you what there is on offer over there in terms of the golf and everything that goes along with it. So wanted to get your first impressions about the golf over there, having not played sort of links golf before and that style of golf. So what was your first impression?
Yes, you're right. I have not played a lot of links, a few courses, but not very many. So, I mean, my first impression was, wow, this is so different, but also so cool at the same time, right? Like I'm used to golfing with trees. Like I love trees and mountains, and there are not that many trees in Ireland, at least not on the golf courses. Obviously, no mountains. Just the landscape is very different. The oceans were beautiful. So, I mean, right from the get-go, it kind of hits you. You're like, oh yeah, here we go, links golf. And then you kind of settle in. And I mean, you have to change your game, or at least I had to change my game a little bit to adapt. But I think that's part of the fun, right?
Absolutely, and it is a different style, and people have to get used to it, right? It's a different turf, a lot firmer. You have to play different shots, kind of running the ball in. So, how did you find that? Like just the turf and dealing with that, and trying different shots going into greens.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Lorne, and I feel like the first time I golfed with Lorne, like a few holes in, I was like, okay, I just learned so much from golfing with Lauren. For some reason, I was every shot I had after I was like, okay, what would Lauren do? Because I don't have great touch around the greens to begin with. So trying to plop some sort of wedge in instead of just doing like a nice bump and run. That's what I would try to do in the beginning. And then I'm like, why am I not just bumping and running? Right. So you have to get used to, you want to have the pretty shot, right? But they're like the bump and run will serve you way better sometimes than trying to, elevate some sort of wedge or flop shot onto the green. So kind of giving, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the phrase, but just sort of kind of giving up some of the shots that you're used to playing and just trying different things while you're out there. Again, like I said, is part of the fun, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, like, I once I got used to the bump, because I don't really practice bumping and running that much, right? But once I think I kind of got the hang of it by the end of the week, so I that part was fun.
Yeah, and it gives you an option to try different types of shots, right? I mean, some people are putting from like 30 yards off the green because you can run
Yes.
the ball up, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I don't
And
know.
obviously
I've never
got
hit
the
that many long putts in my life. And I did that a whole week, like putting from the craziest distances, because like, your margin of error is so low. And I'd rather miss it with a bad putt than a bad chip and end up into the ocean or wherever. So yes, sorry to cut you off there, but you're right. There were a lot of long putts.
Absolutely, and one of them I remember you making when we played together at Ballyliffin. You made a birdie from off the green, and that was about a 50-foot putt. So that was pretty exciting.
That was very exciting. One of the very few long putts that I made. Yeah, that was great. That was a good moment for sure.
And got to celebrate afterwards with a little birdie juice.
Mm-hmm. Little birdie juice, courtesy of yourself and those awesome flasks that you made for all of us, which is like one of my favorite parts of the trip is that flask.
That's awesome. Do you remember? I mean, we played six golf courses in order. We played Castle Rock, Port Salon, Ballyliffin, um, Donegal, Carn, and Enniscrone. We had some different weather at the different courses, finishing off with quite the weather at Enniscrone on the last day. But which course kind of stands out to you the most out of all of those?
The most, number one is probably the one I played with you, or one of the ones we played was Carn for sure. I think was just the landscape of the course, some of like the dunes out there, like they weren't caves, but like the cavernous kind of holes it felt like we were in, like some of the fairways. it was just very memorable. Like I haven't played many holes like that. So that one really stuck out to me. But I mean, it obviously had some beautiful ocean views, but I think all the courses had some pretty decent ocean views, but that one had some as well that stuck out with me. So just in terms of being very unique and unlike anything I'd ever played before, I would say Karn stuck out to me the most. Yeah.
That's fair. And you know what? We had a pretty spectacular day that day. It was sunny and had
Yeah.
incredible views. And it is the most dramatic of all the courses, right? Big dunes and some pretty dramatic views. So absolutely. And of course, we aside from the golf, we had a lot of cool experiences. We were on a bus all together with a driver, Dermot, who was fantastic. And that is kind of the way to go, right? And a trip over there is not having to drive yourself, but get on a bus where you get tables, you can play some cards, you can have a drink. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the bus travel.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would not be up for driving on the other side of the road. I mean, if I had to, I would, but you're right. Having a driver to, take you everywhere so that it's worry free is huge, right? And obviously, there's a fair bit of distance between some of the courses that we were doing, and you're tired and you're jet lagged and it's kind of cold. And the last thing you want to worry about is driving and directions and how to figure out where you're going. So the fact that he was there and you kind of had that organized, is amazing. I mean, there is no other way to do it, I don't think. And like you say, like, I mean, a lot of the times buses is that's where some of the most fun times happen, right? Or you talk about the round that you just played, or like you said, you're playing cards. If there's, more time on there, it's kind of a bonding thing, I would say sometimes when you're on the bus. So
Yeah.
yeah. And just also because Ireland is so beautiful, just a chance to sit there and look out the window kind of seems like a small thing, but it isn't. Like I loved looking at the landscape and the scenery, as we drove along on the bus.
Yeah, it does make the time pass a little quicker. And even though, we had a fair
Mm.
bit of driving on this trip because of where we were, but the time just goes by so quickly because of all those things. So that's great. One of the days we had there was at Ballyliffin, and we didn't have a lot of driving that day. So as a result, in the afternoon, people had some time to do what they wanted to do. Some of us went out and played another 9 holes. Lauren went and played the par 3 course there. And yourself, you kind of went off and did a little sort of hiking. What tell us about that sort of that day of off course activities?
Well, I think that was the first day that the sun really came out for us, right? It was Ballyliffin, and it was kind of coming out near the end of the round. And I looked at the weather, like the forecast, and I thought, "Ooh, the afternoon's really going to get good." So I know you're right. A bunch of people went to play, and I considered playing again. And I thought, I need a bit of a break. So I took the bus back to the hotel, and I was still in my golf gear, and I wanted to run down to the bank machine, like around the corner, get out some cash. So I ran to the bank machine, and then I could kind of see like a corner of the ocean kind of peeking out, like this little piece of beach, and the sun was coming out. And I thought, oh, I should go, take a look. And before you know it, 45 minutes, an hour later, I'm still in my golf shoes. I'm walking down this road to this beautiful beach and the ocean. And it's one of those things that you don't plan, right? It just kind of happens, and the moment is just great. And there's, lots of people were out because the sun came out. So you could see all the people in the little houses were kind of out at the beach. And it was just a nice little afternoon for me that I was not expecting, kind of some alone time, which is good too, since you're with a crew of 12 people for 7 days. You don't know, even though our crew is amazing, it is nice to have some alone time. So that was good. And just like I said, walking down that little road in the countryside and then finding myself on the beach in the sunshine was awesome. Love that afternoon. That was a good one.
And it is important to have some sort of non-golf activities and get
Yeah.
away. You don't want it to be too golf heavy. I try to convince people not to play too much golf and get out and
Mm.
explore these little towns and villages and go to some pubs. And it was great that we had a little bit of time to do that then. And you touched a little bit on the group, and boy, we had a great group of people. I mean, this was a contest trip, and we had 3 contest winners with their guests. So didn't know them in advance, and everybody just gelled so well, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. I often say that the people make the party. It doesn't really matter like what you're doing, where you are. It always comes down to the people. And it was just a great group of people. Like you say, it was kind of the right mix. And I feel like, everyone was there for the right reasons. Everybody loved golf. I feel like everyone had a great sense of humor in their own different way. And we just clicked, and it doesn't always happen that way, but we got
Yeah.
lucky. Like it was great. Yeah. I adored every single person on that trip. It was that, I mean, you like, you know how these trips are. You meet people, you instantly bond, you have make these friendships, you're doing this thing, and then you might never see them again, which to me is always so heartbreaking. But for those 6 or 7 days when you get to hang out with these people and make new friends, yeah, it was great. Yeah, love that group.
Yeah, and it was nice because there were some of us that kind of went out at night a little bit later, and others who retired to their rooms. But on the last night, everybody seemed to stay up late when we were at Port Hotel and at the bar, and we closed it down and just reminiscing about a great week. And it was really nice to hear everybody's stories, listen to Lauren tell some stories, which is always fun. That was a really memorable night for me.
Yes. Although TJ, I feel like every night was memorable for me. Like that, you're right. That last night was great, but like the night when we went out, we played darts was really fun. The night where we ended up dancing was really fun. Like we had a lot of great nights. But you're right. I feel like I think really everybody in the group, I know Nan wasn't feeling well a little bit, but everybody in the group was sort of, let's do this, let's do this. They kind of said yes to everything, which makes it fun when everyone's up for everything and participating and on time for things, which for you, I'm sure, right? No one's late for the bus and that kind of thing. So
And yeah, one of the people who won the trip was Derek Rice, who happens to be a professional photographer. And I'll tell you, I know I'm going to be, and as people are watching this, there will be some photos overlaid uh, over us talking, and they're mostly going to be Derek's photos because what a great bonus for us as a group to have all those amazing photos taken of the trip.
it may like what a stroke of luck. It makes such a difference, right? Like we think we're capturing all these great photos on our iPhones, and then we see what he has on his camera, and it's just night and day. It was so, I mean, he was a great guy to begin with, but yeah, the fact that he brought his camera too and was willing to actually shoot while he was playing. Like I can't believe how many photos he took while he was playing, right? That one day that I played with him, he has the thing hanging off his cart, and I can't believe he was able to golf and still have fun and take the photos. But I'm so happy that I have those photos. They make such a difference.
Absolutely. There were some great ones, especially that day at Ballyliffin you talked about, where we had sun late in the day, and he came out with four of us went out and played 9 holes, and he didn't come out with his golf clubs; he just came out with his camera. And some of those are some of the best photos that we have out there. So obviously, people are enjoying some of those photos as we chat here, and Derek took those pictures, which is pretty amazing. So the last thing I wanted to touch on was just the accommodation we stayed in. We stayed in, I mentioned Portmarnock Hotel previously, but the other two places are both very different, but two of the great places that we use for a lot of our clients, the Ballyliffin Townhouse and the Mount Falcon Estates. So give me your impressions of both of them. They're both very different, but great experiences.
Very different, both great. I love that we had a little bit of time in each one. What was the first one called? Just Ballyliffin
Ballyliffin Townhouse.
Townhouse. Okay. I mean, yeah, it was perfect for what we needed, right? The rooms were great. The shower was hot. The bed was super comfortable. I slept like a baby. I loved having the pub sort of in that restaurant downstairs right there. It was super convenient for breakfast, obviously, but even for dinner and just drinks once in a while was great. So I thought that was perfect, especially kind of a good way to start off the trip. And then at the end, or sort of near the end, when we went to Mount Falcon, right? Mount Falcon? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the last time my jaw dropped when I saw something. When we drove up and I saw we were staying, I felt like my jaw like literally dropped at how beautiful it was. Just like sitting kind of like up on the hill on that estate. I wish we had more time to stay there because that place was unreal. Just the I don't know if rustic is not, I'm not sure if, I don't know if it was rustic. It wasn't rustic because it was all redone, but just cozy and so much attention to detail with everything. Again, the rooms were beautiful. My room was amazing. I don't even know if I'm doing a good job of describing it. You have to look at the photos, right? Like the place where we had dinner that night with the candlelight. We had that big long table to ourselves, that little bar. It was, yeah, that, oh, even like the fireplace and how you walk in and you can like smell, I think they were burning, what was it, moss or peat moss, or they were burning something. And
Pete,
it just was
yeah,
like, yeah, just I could have stayed there for months
yeah.
easily. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite spots. In fact, I tell people it's my favorite hotel in Ireland, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And I think it would have been nice if we obviously we were moving a lot and playing a lot of golf, but
Yeah.
you know, for our clients that stay there, it's nice to have just a day to stay at that resort, and enjoy the facilities, because there's so much on the property to do. There's fishing, there's falconry, there's hiking, there's so much you can do there. It's certainly it's a fantastic spot. So I'm glad you guys got to enjoy it. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I guess you know, your first time over there. So overall, a success. And give me just your thoughts on a golf trip to Ireland, and what you're and looking forward to doing another one.
Highly recommend. I mean, you and I know I ran into some people a few weeks after who saw my photos on Instagram and who were thinking of planning their own trips to Ireland. And I directed them to you, or I directed him to you, because the way you have it organized was perfect. I mean, you need to be prepared to play a lot of golf in a short amount of time, right? We played 6 rounds in 6 days. You walk every day. That's a lot of golf. So you have to make sure you love golf before you go. But I mean, I honestly, I'd give, and I'm not just saying this, I would give this trip a 10 out of 10. I loved Ireland. I love the people there. The golf courses were stunning. The accommodation was great. I mean, food, you don't go to Ireland for the food, but whatever. It was still like we still had some great meals. And I would do it again in a second. I had so much fun. It's so much fun.
Well, we'll have to do it again for sure. We will do it again, and look forward to that. But in the meantime, thank you very much for doing this. Thanks for coming along. First of all, being such a great host, and everybody loved hanging out with you and golfing with you, and your smile is infectious. And it was just tons of fun, and we'll definitely do it again. So thanks again, and thanks for doing this.
Thank you. And thanks for inviting. Yeah, I'm gonna hold you to that because I had so much fun. I would love to do it again. So we'll have to talk, TJ. Or
We
should I
will.
call you JT, as one of the guys was called on the trip for a while? JT.
Yeah, it took a couple days, but you got it eventually. That's right.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Okay.
Tash.
Thanks for
Thanks
having
again.
me. It was
Cheers.
fun. Okay.
Okay.
See
Bye
ya.
now. Bye.